When I was younger, I would always get excited when I got to be home alone because that meant I could sneak into the pantry and eat all the Oreos I want. And to this day, when I go home to visit, I get that same feeling of excitement when my mom leaves the house and I can go and eat whatever I want. This usually is followed by the realization that I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions, and I actually don't care to eat the treats. Memories such as this one cause me to consider how I got to this stage where I can make my own decisions, have the knowledge to discern right from wrong, and have perspective on why I choose to not do the things I was never allowed to do. What cause can I contribute this to? I credit my knowledge and moral structure to my parents' efforts in rearing me and 6 older siblings in the right direction. Standards were set high, and trust led to opportunities of self-governing. My purpose in this discussion is to emphasize balance, trust, and moral structure in parenting, and to bring to light the effectiveness of different parenting styles. We all know that parenting is a challenging task. Let's begin to understand why that is. Difficulty in parenting lies in the very nature of child development. As a child moves through different stages of their development, they acquire new attributes and interests throughout their learning. This is especially true beginning at age 9, where each child begins to gain a sense of self and individuality. According to an article published by the Center for Parenting and Education, the common idea that parenting is like a roller coaster is due to the fact that your child goes through phases of equilibrium and disequilibrium, depending on the age of development. Equilibrium refers to a period where your child is exhibiting more enjoyable and positive characteristics. Disequilibrium refers to a period where your child's tendencies are more difficult and challenging. These periods are cycled all throughout development, beginning at 18 months. Due to the cycle, periods of disequilibrium are sensitive times that should be handled with much more care and consideration when it comes to discipline and teaching. Parenting styles and child behavior were studied by developmental psychologist Diana Baumrind in the late 1900s. Baumrind classified parenting into 3 approaches: authoritarian, permissive, and authoritative. Authoritarian parenting corresponds with high levels of demand and low levels of warmth. Demand refers to high standards and strict expectations of behavior. With that, obedience is required regardless of reasoning. The opinions of an authoritarian parent are expected to be understood by the child and accepted as their own. Warmth refers to responsiveness and understanding of the child. Authoritarian parenting does not regard much understanding of the child's emotional needs, and extreme discipline measures are enforced. The goal of this approach is to teach the child adherence to authority. Permissive parenting opposes authoritarian parenting almost entirely, having high levels of warmth and low levels of demand. The structure of parenting is driven by the principle of freedom and self-governing. Permissive parents do not set any expectations of behavior or sustain high standards for the child. Emphasis on support of the child's beliefs, opinions, and interests give allowance for the child to develop self-identity, absent of controlling influences. Authoritative parenting, as you can probably guess at this point, is found as the ultimate compromise between permissive and authoritarian parenting. This method is associated with high levels of demand as well as high levels of warmth. Authoritative parents set clear standards and expectations of moral behavior, however, match this high demand with supportive attitudes and emphasis on child's agency. This allows room for supportive understanding and discipline measures. Parents who apply this method of conduct allow the child to exercise their decision-making and experience the resulting consequences. The emphasis of authoritative parenting is to teach the child to be assertive, responsible, self-reliant, and cooperative. Authoritative parenting is most effective in yielding positive characteristics and behaviors in children. It was found that these children tend to exhibit lively, happy attitudes about life. Overall, the child demonstrates confidence in their social skills, emotional stability, and potential when their mastery is challenged. Often, authoritative methods highlight the less dominant gender traits in the child, such as independence in girls and sensitivity in boys. These favored behaviors of control and confidence is a direct reflection of how the parent presents themselves when governing their child. When nurturing is paired with concrete standards, the parent demonstrates self-control and emotional regulation. When parents adjust demands according to the child's ability, the child gains confidence in their competency and potential in becoming a successful individual. It is evident that parenting demands significant balance in structure and trust. Both authoritarian and permissive methods are matched with negative behaviors by the child. The pressure and strict nature of authoritarian parents causes children to react poorly to frustration. This is often met with withdrawn and anxious behaviors in their child and ultimately an unhappy disposition. On the contrast, the careless nature of permissive parents is cause for the rigidity of the child. When challenged by an opposing force, defiant behaviors are exhibited by the child due to the lack of emotional regulation. I'm not quite sure if my parents adopted the authoritative approach or on purpose, or if the conditions of having 7 kids and owning a business required them to. However, they have found success in directing 7 children towards overall happiness. The foundation of love was consistently evident in our home. However, it was demonstrated in the form of trust. My parents taught us the importance of good moral character and set high standards as a goal to become. However, when entering the stages of accountability, my parents allowed us the opportunity to make our own decisions and trusted that we would choose the right ones. I discussed this recently with my brother Jordan. He emphasized to me how grateful he was for my parents' efforts in trusting him to make good decisions. He expressed that this trust was a demonstration of love, and he felt that came with great responsibility and desire to make my parents proud. This was something that resonated with me personally. I know that weight of a feeling, as Jordan described. That feeling is something that I still experience to this day. In all things I do and all the many decisions I make, I feel that desire to make my parents proud and to become the individual they know I can be. Now, being able to correlate these classifications with child behavior, it almost gives us a better perspective on the people in our lives and how they became to be the person they are. Now, don't mistake what I'm saying. I don't want to discredit any parents for their efforts. Parenting is, in all of its importance, is an extremely difficult and stressful duty. However, it does need to be handled with care. My hope today is that we can all consider our own upbringing and ponder the things we were taught, how it contributed to who we are today, and make a plan today for how we want to help our own children reach their full potential. Children need structure, but they also need love.